Next is the acting president of the Republic of the Union of Myanmar, Min Aung Hlaing. China and Myanmar enjoy long-standing friendship. The two countries established diplomatic ties on June 8, 1950, and this year marks the 75th anniversary. The two countries have steadily advanced their friendly relations, and they are actively building the China-Myanmar community with a shared future. During World War II, Chinese expeditionary forces fought Japanese aggressors in Myanmar, then known as Burma. They safeguarded the passage to southwestern China and supported the people of Myanmar in their fight for independence.
And next is Speaker of the National Assembly of the Republic of Korea, Woo Won-sik, and his wife. China and South Korea are neighbors and cooperative partners. The two countries established diplomatic ties in 1992 and elevated relations to a strategic cooperative partnership in 2008. China is the largest trading partner of South Korea. South Korea is the second largest trading partner of China. The two countries have 228 pairs of sister provinces and cities. The Chinese people fought side by side with the Koreans to resist Japanese aggression and colonialism. The old site of the Provisional Government of the Republic of Korea has been preserved in China.
Next is the President of the Republic of Maldives, Mohamed Muizzu. The president made his first state visit to China in January 2024 and was the first foreign leader to visit China that year. The two heads of state upgraded their relations to a comprehensive strategic cooperative partnership. Trade cooperation between the Maldives and China began in 1981. Since then, they have maintained good momentum, with tourism a significant part. Chinese tourists comprise the biggest share of Maldives' international tourism. They have expanded exchanges and cooperation in key sectors such as education, culture, and health. Now, Prime Minister of the Republic of Armenia, Nikol Pashinyan. Also accompanying him is his wife. China and Armenia have maintained healthy and stable momentum in bilateral ties since establishing diplomatic relations in 1992. Their ties were upgraded to a strategic partnership on August 31st, when Chinese President Xi met with Prime Minister Pashinyan in Tianjin. In 2024, bilateral trade rose 15% to $1.8 billion. In January 2020, their mutual free visa policy took effect. The two nations enhanced their connectivity by launching their first direct civilian flights in September 2024.
Walking on the red carpet right now is the Prime Minister of the Slovak Republic, Robert Fico. In 2024, he paid a visit to China as the two sides celebrated the 75th anniversary of diplomatic ties. And during that visit, China and Slovakia elevated their relations to a strategic partnership. China and Slovakia have maintained a positive momentum in the development of their relations and steadily expanded their cooperation in various fields. Slovakia was a guest of honor in the fourth China Central and Eastern European Countries Expo in Zhejiang Province this May. And as the Second World War dragged on, the Slovaks launched a resistance movement against Nazi Germany. With unremitting courage and determination, the Slovakian people contributed to victory in the World Anti-Fascist War.
If you're just joining us here on CGTN, you're looking at live pictures of the Duanmen Gate near Tiananmen Rostrum, where international dignitaries have been arriving. We've been tracking the arrival of heads of state and government for you right here on CGTN. And the motorgates keep pulling up. International dignitaries are arriving at the red carpet rolled out in their honor.
And some of the guests attending today's commemoration previously attended the Shanghai Cooperation Organization summit in Tianjin, which just concluded in the northern port city. And in that summit, the leaders jointly issued the Tianjin Declaration.
Now comes the president of Mongolia, Ukhna Hurosa, and his wife. China's land border with Mongolia is the longest at 4,710 kilometers. The two countries have been deepening mutually beneficial cooperation over the past 70 years since they established bilateral ties. They have achieved a rapid development and significant outcomes in relations in more than 2 decades. China has been Mongolia's largest trading partner and investor. Bilateral trade reached over $18 billion in 2024, 10% higher than the previous year.
And this is the president of Turkmenistan, Serdar Berdimuhamedov. In 2023, China and Turkmenistan established a comprehensive strategic partnership and announced that they will build a community with a shared future at a bilateral level. Trade volume has reached nearly $5 billion in the first half of this year. China and Turkmenistan have jointly built 3 gas pipelines connecting China and Central Asia. Cultural exchanges between these two countries are frequent. The Chinese language is taught in elementary and middle schools in Turkmenistan.
On the red carpet now, our first Secretary of the Central Committee of the Communist Party of Cuba and President of the Republic of Cuba, Miguel Diaz-Canel, and his wife. Cuba was the first country in Latin America to establish diplomatic ties with the People's Republic of China. This year marks their 65th anniversary. In the past 65 years, China and Cuba have always trusted and supported each other, setting an example for unity and cooperation between socialist countries and mutual assistance with sincerity among developing countries. In World War II, Cuba provided military support and supplies to the Allied forces.
Now on the red carpet is President of the Kyrgyz Republic, Sadir Japarov. China and Kyrgyzstan are connected by mountains and rivers, and the two peoples are connected heart to heart. Their relations have seen great development in recent years. In 2023, the two countries established a new era all-round strategic partnership and announced the building of a China-Kyrgyzstan community with a shared future of good neighborliness and shared prosperity. China is Kyrgyzstan's largest trading partner. Bilateral trade in the first half of this year has increased by 53% from a year ago to over $14 billion. And you're watching live pictures now from the Duanmen Gate, where international guests are arriving for a welcome ceremony here. And now we are seeing pictures of the President of the Republic of Azerbaijan, Ilham Aliyev, and his wife. President Aliyev has visited China several times. China-Azerbaijan ties have been close despite the long distance and have strengthened in recent years. The two countries have had close, high-level communications in recent years. This April, the two heads of state announced a comprehensive strategic partnership between China and Azerbaijan. And on the red carpet now are Prime Minister of Malaysia, Anwar Ibrahim, and his wife. China and Malaysia have long-standing friendships. And of course, this friendship is born out of their long history, cultivated by cultural integration, strengthened in mutually beneficial cooperation, and forged in difficult times. In April, they agreed to build a high-level strategic China-Malaysia community with a shared future. During World War II, overseas Chinese in Malaysia launched a fundraising campaign for China's war of resistance against Japanese aggression. Over 1,000 Nanyang volunteer mechanics and drivers sacrificed their lives while transporting military supplies on the Yunnan-Burma highway to the front lines in China.
Now you're looking at live pictures at the Duanmen Gate, where international dignitaries are continuing to arrive for a red carpet that's rolled out in their honor. The Duanmen Gate is just north of the Tiananmen rostrum. On the red carpet now is Tomun Sisilith, General Secretary of the Lao People's Revolutionary Party Central Committee and the President of the Lao People's Democratic Republic. China and Laos have a long history of friendship. They're good neighbors and comrades. They have deepened exchanges and cooperation in fields such as politics, economy, military, and culture and health. They also coordinate and cooperate closely in regional and international affairs. Bilateral trade cooperation has expanded in recent years. China is Laos's biggest investor, second exporter, and second largest trading partner. The China-Laos Railway has earned the name of the Golden Passage due to record volume of passengers and long-standing friendship. The two peoples have interacted for their mutual Korea, President of the State of anniversary of the victory of the Chinese People's War of Resistance against Japanese aggression.
Peng Liyuan are welcoming international dignitaries at the South Square of Duanmen Gate.
These are heads of international organizations that are walking down
升国旗，唱国歌。敬礼！请坐下。请中共中央总书记、中华人民共和国主席、中央军委主席习近平同志发表重要讲话。
全国同胞们，尊敬的各位国家元首、政府首脑和国际组织代表，尊敬的各位来宾， 全体受阅将士们，同志铭记历史，
It is an occasion
缅
for
怀
us to
先
remember
烈，
history,
珍
honor
爱
fallen
和
heroes,
平，
cherish
开
peace,
创未来。
and create a better future.
我代表中共中
On
央、
behalf of the Central Committee of the
全
Communist
国
Party
人
of
大
China, the National People's
国
Congress,
务院、
the State Council,
全国政协、
the National Committee of the Chinese People's
中央
Political
军委
Consultative Conference, and the Central Military Commission,
向全国
I would like to pay high tribute to our veteran soldiers and
老
comrades,
同志、
patriots,
爱国人士
and officers who fought in a war of resistance against Japanese aggression,
向为中国人民抗日战争胜利
and to the Chinese nationals
做出
from home
重大
and
贡献
abroad
的
who made important contributions
海内外
to
中华
our
儿女
victory.
致以崇高敬意，向支
I
援
would also like to express
和帮助
my
过
sincere
中
thanks
国人民
to
抵抗侵略的外国政
foreign
府
governments
和国
and
际友
friends
人，
that
表示
supported
衷
and
心
assisted
感
the
谢
Chinese people in resisting aggression.
向参加今天大会的
I
各国
also
来
extend
宾
a warm welcome
表
to
示
our guests
热烈
from
欢
around
迎
the world who are with us today.
同志们、朋友们，
Comrades and friends,
中国人民抗日战争
the Chinese people's
是
war
艰苦
of resistance
卓绝的
against the Japanese aggression
伟大战争。
was the great war fought with tenacity
在
and
中国共
valor
产党倡导建立的
under the banner of the
抗日民族统一
National
战线
United
旗帜下
Front， against Japanese aggression established
中国人民
at the
以
initiative
铮铮
of
铁
the
骨
Communist Party of China,
战强敌
the Chinese people
以
stood
血
up
肉之
to
躯
fight the formidable
筑长
enemy
城
with an iron will
取得
and formed a
近代
great
以
war
来
with flesh and blood to
反抗
defend the
外敌
nation
入侵
and
的
ultimately achieved
第一
the
次
first complete
完全
victory
胜利。
in resisting foreign aggression in modern times.
中国人民抗日战争
The Chinese
是
people's
世
war
界
of
反
resistance
法
against
西
the
斯
Japanese
战争
aggression
的
was
重
an
要
important
组成
part
部
of the
分。
world anti-fascist war.
中国人民以巨大的
With
民
huge
族
national
牺牲，
sacrifice, the Chinese people
为拯救
made
人类文
major
明，
contributions
保
to
卫
saving
世界
human
和平，
civilization and
做出
safeguarding
了
world
重大
peace.
贡献。历史警示我们，
History cautions us
人类命运休
that
戚与共，
humanity rises and falls together
各个国家、各个民族只有
only
平
when
等相
all
待、
countries and
和睦
nations
相处
treat、each other
守
as
望
equals,
相助，
coexist in
才
peace
能维
and
护
support each
共
other,
同安全，
can we uphold common
消弭
security,
战争根源
eradicate，the root cause of
不
war,
让历史悲
and
剧
prevent
重演。
the reoccurrence of historical tragedies.
同志们、朋友们，
Comrades and friends,
中华民族是不畏强暴
the，Chinese nation is a
自立
great
自
nation
强
that
的
is
伟大
never
民族。
intimidated by any bullies
当年
and always values
面对
independence
正
and
义与
forges
邪
ahead.
恶、光明
In the
与
past,
黑暗
when，faced with critical struggles
进
between
步与
good and
反动
evil,
的
light and
生死
darkness,
较量，
progress and reaction, the Chinese
中
people
国人民同仇敌
rallied
忾，
together to defy
奋起
the
反
enemy.
抗，为国家生存而战，
They fought for the
为
survival
民
of the
族复
country,
兴而战，
for the rejuvenation
为
of the
人
Chinese
类正义
nation,
而
and
战。
for justice of the whole humanity.
今天，人类又面临
Today,
和平还是战争，
humanity again has to choose
对话
between
还是
peace
对
and
抗，
war, dialogue
共
and
赢还是
confrontation,
零和的抉择。
win-win cooperation and zero-sum game.
中国人民坚定站在历史正
The
确
Chinese
一边，
people firmly stand
站
on
在
the
人
right
类
side
文
of
明
history
进步
and the
一边，
progress of human civilization.
坚持走和平发展道
We
路，
will remain committed to the path
与
of
各国
peaceful
人民
development
携手构
and join
建
hands with all
人类
peoples
命
around the
运共
world
同体
in。building a community with a shared future for humanity.
中国人民解放军
The Chinese People's
始
Liberation
终是
Army has been,
党和人
and
民
will always be,
完全可以
the
信赖
heroic
的
armed
英
forces that
雄
the
部队，
party and the people can fully
全
trust
军
and
将
rely
士
on.
要忠实履行神圣
All
职
service
责，
members should
加快
faithfully
建
perform
设
their
世界
sacred
一
duties,
流军队，
speed up the building of a
坚决维
world-class
护
military,
国家主
and
权
firmly safeguard
统一
China's sovereignty,
领土完
unity,
整，
and territorial integrity.
为实现中华民族伟大
All
复兴
service members should
提
provide
供战略
strategic
支撑，
support for the great
为
rejuvenation of
世
the
界
Chinese
和
nation
平与发
and make
展
greater
做
contributions
出
to the
更大
peace
贡
and
献。
development of the world.
历史承载过去，
History
也
carries
启
the
迪未
legacy
来
of。the past and inspires the future.
新时代新征程，
On a new journey in a
全国
new
各族
era,
人民
the Chinese people
要在中国
of
共
all
产党
ethnic
坚强
groups
领导
should,
下，
under the strong leadership of the Communist Party of
坚
China,
持马克思列宁主
follow
义、
Marxism, Leninism,
毛泽东
Mao
思想
Zedong、thought,
邓小平理
Deng
论
Xiaoping theory,
三个代表重要思
the
想、
theory of three represents,
科学发展观
and the scientific outlook,
全面贯彻新时代
and fully
中国
implement
特
the
色
thoughts on
社会
socialism
主义思
with
想，
Chinese characteristics for the new era.
坚定不移走中国特色
We
社
should
会主义
stay
道
firmly
路
on，the path of socialism with
传
Chinese
承和弘扬
characteristics and carry
伟
forward
大
the
抗
great
战精
spirit
神，
of the war of resistance.
出力奋发，
We should press
勇
ahead
毅
with
前行，
enterprise and resolve,
为
and
中国
advance
式
in
现代
unity
化
the cause of building
全面
China
推
into
进
a great
强
country
国建
on
设
all fronts
民
and
族
realizing great
复兴
national
伟业
rejuvenation through
而团
China's
结奋
modernization.
斗。中华民族伟大复兴势
The
不可
great
挡，
rejuvenation of the Chinese
人类
nation
和
is
平与发展的
irresistible.
崇高
The
事
noble
业
cause of peace
必
and
将胜利。
development of humanity will prevail.
阅兵开始。
The military parade now begins. Markers in position.
The parade guards mark positions and boundaries at the parade ground. 60 soldiers will line up in front of the eastern and western ornament columns on the Tiananmen Square.
Marching with steadfast footsteps and imposing bearing, the ironclad troops showcase their unshakable faith, strong conviction, strict discipline, and firm commitment to their duties.
Standing firm on the ground of the motherland and bearing the hope of the Chinese nation, the heroic People's Liberation Army has forged ahead dauntlessly throughout wars, achieving great historic feats for the party and the people.
At this solemn moment today, the People's Armed Forces are ready for the inspection of General Secretary of the Communist Party of China's Central Committee, Chinese President and Chairman of the Central Military Commission, Xi Jinping. They are also ready to be reviewed by the party and the people.
主席同志，受阅部队列队完毕，请您检阅阅兵总指挥韩盛言。开始。是。
Let's begin.
Next, President Xi will pay an eye salute to the party national and military flags.
In a typical back and forth, President Xi says, "Salute to you, comrades." And the soldiers reply, "Hail to Chairman." The president then says, "Comrades, thank you for your hard work." To which the soldiers reply, "We serve the people."
Right there, the phrase "serve the people" was written into the party constitution at the 7th National Congress of the Communist Party of China in 1945. Serving the people wholeheartedly was established as the fundamental principle of the party and the People's Liberation Army.
President Xi's car rides past each segment of the troops, he greets the soldiers. The troops respond vociferously, paying respect and demonstrating their loyalty.
同志们辛苦了。
These phrases are used in inspections, parades, and other military gatherings.
Of society with a direct responsibility to safeguard people's well-being. In peacetime, the Chinese military participates in missions that serve the people's interests, such as disaster relief. And all this has earned them the title of the most beloved people in China. President Xi is heading back to the Tiananmen rostrum. Xi's car rides past the troops. The soldiers shout, "Follow the party's command. Fight to win. Forge exemplary conduct. Justice will prevail. Peace will prevail. The people will prevail." military's political orientation. Fighting to win is the basic function of the military, and the fundamental objective is development. Forging exemplary conduct demonstrates the Army's nature and principle.
Justice will prevail. Peace will prevail. The people will prevail. These three phrases were the closing lines in President Xi's speech 10 years ago, when the country marked the 70th anniversary of the victory of Chinese people's war of resistance against Japanese aggression and the World Anti-Fascist War.